Sa paggunita ng Ninoy Aquino Day kamakailan August 21, 2022 ay binahagi ni Direk Daryl ang isang sulat na naging parte ng kasaysayan ngunit hindi masyadong napag-usapan. Sa kanyang post, ibinahagi ni Yap ang sulat ni dating Senador Ninoy Aquino kung saan ay tudo ang pagpapasalamat nito sa dating unang ginang na si Imelda Marcos. Ito'y dahil sa isa si Aquino sa mga nakinabang sa proyekto ni Marcos na Philippine Heart Center na matatanda ang binabatikos noon ng dating senador. Makikita sa sulat ang pagpapasalamat ni Aquino kay Dr. Abentora na naging doktor ng dating senador na matatandaan na mayroong komplikasyon sa puso. Matapos ang kanyang pamamalagi sa Heart Center ay sinabi ni Aquino na binabawi niya na ang mga pambabatikos niya kay Marcos. Ayon sa kanyang sulat, "In the past, I've been most critical of the First Lady project. Now that I've seen what she has done here at the Heart Center, I take back all my harsh words, hoping I didn't choke." Dagdag pa nito, "Mrs. Marcos deserves all the credit for giving our people such an institution like your Heart Center. It is indeed ironical that one of her bitterest critics would be a beneficiary of her foresight." Ayon kay Yap, ay posibleng ito ang maging konsepto ng kanyang susunod na pelikula matapos maging blockbuster ang Made in Malacanang. Ayon sa kanyang post, "I'm doing one movie before I proceed to Mom, but this jewel from Cocky Rocky deserves a moment." Ninoy pressing Imelda, yellow pink tissue to the false nationalistic verbal diarrhea of the losers of the mission. #Mom is coming. Nitong 2019 ay ibinahagi na rin ni Atty. Larry Gadon ang nasabing sulat kung saan makikita pa ang pagkikita ni Aquino at ni Marcos sa New York noong May 1983, 3 buwan bago ang pagpanaw niya. Samantala, narito naman ang naging pahayag ng ilang social media influencer patungkol sa kung ano ang totoong nangyari sa panahon ni Ninoy Aquino bago pa man ito pumanaw. Pero bago ang lahat, kung bago ka pa lang sa channel ko, please do subscribe and click the notification bell para ma-update ka sa iba ko pang mga video.
Of August 1971. Ang Liberal Party then was holding their proclamation rally in Manila. And at exactly 9:15 p.m., right after their event, 2 grenades were thrown into Plaza Miranda, where 95 people were injured and 9 people were killed. Walang nakaligtas na senatorial candidate maliban sa isa. Suspiciously absent at that event was Benigno Ninoy Aquino. Liberal Party luminaries were in full attendance. Andon si Jovito Salonga, Eva Estrada Calao, Ramon V. Mitra Jr., Sergio Osmeña, Jerry Rojas, Ramon Bagatsing at ang isang batang-batang tumatakbong councilor for the first time, Lito Atienza. Pagsabog ng bomba, sa unang pagkakataon, everyone fell at danak ang dugo. It was a very gory and violent assault on a political event. The Philippines was shaken. At hindi pa dito nagtapos ito. There was a second grenade that was thrown. At dito na tinamaan ang karabihan ng lahat ng mga attendees. Ang dugo ay nakakatakot sa dami. Pero habang tinatakbo ang mga kandidato papunta sa ospital, Jerry Rojas was caught on record on the Free Press as saying, from an article on the Philippines Free Press released in September 4, 1971, LP President Jerry Rojas was caught saying, "I am holding President Marcos personally responsible for the brutal and senseless carnage that took place on Plaza Miranda." End of quote. Mula noon at napakaraming taon maglipas mula noon, ang lahat ng mga blame para sa napakamadugong Plaza Miranda bombing fell squarely on the shoulders of President Ferdinand Edrelin Marcos. But was he to blame? Immediately after the bombing, the blame game started. LPs blamed Marcos, Marcos blamed the communists. Pero there were other theories. There were people who blamed student activists, and there were even reports that the hooks were behind this. But one of the most shocking was when President Marcos blamed Ninoy Aquino as being behind the bombing. According to Eva Estrada Calao, ang ganitong blame on Ninoy na de-deflect ang paghahanap sa totoong may gawa ng Plaza Miranda bombing. And it was very surprising that at that time, Congressman Singson refused to believe that the Hukbalahap or the CPP-NPA was in fact behind the bombing. Everyone wanted to believe that it was Marcos who was behind it all because such was or such is what politics is in the Philippines. The opposition would like to demonize the sitting government or the sitting president of the current government. And it just goes forwards and backwards between government and opposition. But history has a funny way of siding with the Marcoses. Ang kiniklaim niyang innocence noon na walang naniniwala ay unti-unti na ring napatunayan. Lieutenant Victor Corpus was interviewed by Jones and later on by Martin Andanar. And on record, he was caught saying that the CPP-NPA under Joma season was responsible for this most heinous act of carnage. According to Victor Corpus, the Central Committee daw ng Communist Party of the Philippines ay nagmeeting sa Isabela kung saan si Joma Sison, Danny Cordero, Jose Luneta, Ibarra Tubianosa, and Fidel Agkawili were all in attendance. At dito pinag-usapan ang plano kung paano papasok ang armas at gagawa sila ng distraction. Hindi niya lang inakala na itong distraction na pinag-uusapan nila ay isa palang napakamadugong pag-aaklas sa gobyerno. The Plaza Miranda bombing, which injured 95 and killed 9 people on site, ay isa sa mga isang kahindik-hindik na moments in Philippine history. Allow me to read a quote from the testimony of Corpus. He says, quoting Sison, "To intensify the conflict between the Nacionalista Party and the Liberal Party, the two factions of the ruling class. If the two could be set against each other in violent fashion, such as by disrupting an LP rally, the ruling class would be weakened and the moderates would react by joining the left, thereby solving the manpower problem to match the thousands of firearms expected to arrive from China." So it was a plan all along. And it was Joma's plan to create this schism between the Nacionalista Party and the Liberal Party. Pinag-away niya para makapag-anyaya ng mas maraming participants to the CPP-NPA. In time, as with all things, everything comes to light. Si Jovito Salonga mismo ang nag-follow up and inquire as to sino ba talaga ang gumawa nito sa kanila. And through the agencies of government, after ay nalaman din sa wakas na si Joma Sison nga talaga at hindi si Marcos ang may dala at may salot sa Plaza Miranda. Even Lito Atienza, who was young at the time and had also been part of the blame game kay Ferdinand Marcos, eventually went on record sa Rappler. And I quote, "I have fought Marcos pagtapos ng pagsabog. Pinupulot ko yung mga piraso ng katawan ng mga kasama ko. Minumura ko si Marcos. Ang alam natin all these years, si Marcos ang may kasalanan. Siya ang sinisisi natin. Pero iba pala." End of quote. Galing ito sa isang opposition candidate then and now, Lito Atienza. And in his book entitled A Struggle of Journey and Hope, Jovito Salonga wrote that Victor Corpus came to his personal residence to make this confession. And after that, it was all downhill dun sa anti-Marcos rhetoric that Plaza Miranda is just another atrocity that they can attribute to the late great president. But much of what was written at that time ay puno ng mga hula lamang. Most of the publications and historical accounts then, wala talagang may alam kung sino ang may gawa nito. But what is known and what is fact was this was masterfully done, well calculated to create maximum political damage on the sitting government, the sitting president, Marcos. Everyone blamed him for a very, very long time. And even those who had suspicions that student activists and even the NPA may have had a hand in it, still ultimately believed the pervading narrative that Marcos was yet again behind this atrocity. Now, kung hindi nga lang naman talaga lumabas si Victor Corpus para umamin at magkwento in detail of what transpired sa Central Committee of the NPA during that time or the time leading to the bombing, we would never know. Hindi po talaga natin malalaman na ang NPA ang may kasalanan nito. At hindi rin mapapawalang sala si President Marcos from the Plaza Miranda bombing. So in conclusion, our rating is Marcos is innocent of the Plaza Miranda bombing.
August 21 na naman at dapat lamang na wag na nating ipagdiwang ang araw ng kabayanihan daw ng peke na bayani na si Ninoy Aquino. Bakit ba siya tinatawag na bayani ng kanyang mga dilawan na mga kampon? Sa kabila ng lahat na siya ay isang traidor sa bayan. Siya ang nag-organisa at nagtatag ng New People's Army at ng Communist Party of the Philippines. At siya rin ang nagpahama sa ating claim sa Sabah. At siya rin ay isa sa mga utak o may kinalaman sa pagbomba ng Plaza Miranda. At sila rin ni Joe Masison ang may kagagawa ng lahat ng kaguluhan noong 1970s upang sirain ang administrasyon ni Presidente Marcos. Si Ninoy ay isang traidor, hindi siya dapat hero. Yung mga nagsasabi na hero siya ay mga bulag at mga naloko na indoctrinate at sila ay napaniwala daw sa kabayanihan ng isang traidor sa bansa na si Ninoy Aquino. Mabuti na lamang at namulat na ang mga Pilipino. Ang pagkapanalo ni President Bongbong Marcos Jr. ay talagang nagpakita na ang mga tao, ang karamihan ng mga tao, ang majority of the Filipino people are no longer brainwashed and indoctrinated by the yellow narratives about the heroism daw ng peke na bayani na si Ninoy traidor ng bansang Pilipinas. Ang pinaka malaking katraidoran na ginawa sa ating bansa ay ang may kagagawan ay si Ninoy Aquino. Kaya dapat lamang na wag nang i-celebrate yung mga August 21 na yan, Heroes Day na yan. Dahil si Ninoy ay isang peke na traidor sa bansa.
Ayan, pag-usapan natin ang nagtitrend ngayon sa Twitter. So sabi dito, Ninoy died for his political ambition and not for the Filipino people. Hashtag Ninoy is not a hero. Sabi naman guys dito sa post ni Kit Young, after 4 years of hearings, the military tribunal found Ninoy Aquino guilty of several charges and most serious of which was that he had sought to put the country under control of an unidentified foreign power. Now, the question is, bakit kailangan niyang gawin yan? Ayon guys dito sa official gazette.gov.ph, Aquino was put through military trial charged with murder, illegal possession of firearms, and subversion. He endured 7 years of incarceration before he was allowed to seek medical treatment in the United States for a heart condition. After 3 years of exile, he returned to Manila but was gunned down before he could set foot in the tarmac. Guys, maniwala man kayo sa hindi, this is the first time that I've heard na si Ninoy was actually guilty of several crimes. For the longest time, tinago to sa public eye. Good thing, kaya sabi ko sa inyo, utang na loob natin sa mga kakamping na nalalaman natin to lahat. Pero ang mga tanong ko dito illegal possession of firearms, ano yun? Ano yung pinoses niya? Anong klaseng baril-baril ba to? Or what? Murder. Sino pinatay niya? Diba? And lastly, yung sa version, kanino siya nakipagsabuatan? Diba? It's very impossible na it's a one-man team. Definitely may mga kasabot siya dyan. I really doubt it na mag-isa lang siya dyan, diba? Imagine niyo kung gaano katagal before natin ngayon before natin nalaman at ngayon pinag-uusapan natin. In truth, na-excite ako dun sa magiging pag-uusap ni Attorney Acosta at saka ni Direk Daryl Yap. Kasi for the longest time, sabi nga ni Direk Daryl, yan, sabi niya rito, gusto ko po kayo makausap tungkol sa pagpatay kay Ninoy. Alam ko po isa po kayo sa masugid na nagpapabukas ng kaso mula kay Cory, FDR at Ninoy. Ito na yung susunod actually sa Made in Malacanang. Excited na kayo? Mas malalang ba siya nga abutin